Sheriff's Office and the Fontana Police Department. Since that time, the FBI, the DEA, the ATF, U.S. Marshal Service, and the crime lab for the San Bernardino Sheriff's Office have all told us that they stand ready to help us with surveillance teams, with expedited scientific processing of evidence. The entire law enforcement family from throughout the region has come together. We wanted to share some information. Many members of the public have contacted the police department wanting to know how they can assist the family. And we have graphics here that are available, plus in the press release I believe we've listed for you the name and address of the Riverside Police Officers Association Family Assistance, where people can make pledges and make donations. We also wanted to let you know, before we get into the particulars of the crime and the investigation, that Officer Bonaminio will be laid to rest next Tuesday. The funeral information is as follows. There will be a service at the Grove Community Church at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, November 16. That is at 19900 Grove Community Drive in the city of Riverside. Interment will follow at the Riverside National Cemetery, 22495 Van Buren Boulevard. As I think most of you know, Officer Bonaminio not only gave his life in service to this city and this community, but he served 2 tours of duty in Iraq as a member of the United States Army. And I think we can all ponder on the irony that this person who was engaged in intense activities on a war field half a world away came home to his hometown, his birth town, to give his life in service to our citizens. I wanted to, by the way, we also have members of the Riverside Police Department's robbery homicide unit who are leading the investigation of this crime. I wanted to give you a recap of the crime as we know it and the investigation. Then we'll make available detectives to answer any specific questions that you may have about the investigation. Here's what we know so far. At about 9:40 Sunday night, a big rig tractor rig was stolen from a rental location in the unincorporated part of the county of Riverside, just outside the city limits. The person who stole that rig, we believe, was involved in a minor hit-and-run accident. That accident gave rise to a call to the police department, a call which Officer Bonaminio responded to. Officer Bonaminio spotted the big rig, stopped it, and the driver fled on foot. There was a foot pursuit followed by an altercation and a shooting, and Officer Bonaminio was killed. The driver of the big rig tractor left. He got back in his vehicle, actually drove it back to the place where he'd stolen it from, and made good his escape. That night, law enforcement agencies from Riverside County and City responded, and we were unable to locate the suspect. The first 24 hours of the investigation, we focused on trying to develop physical evidence that would lead us to the identification of this person. And for that reason, during those first day and a half, we've been relatively closed-mouthed with the media because we didn't want to say anything that would endanger our capture of the suspect. At this point, well, as many of you know, yesterday we released to the press a photograph taken from a video that was captured by the officer's dash camera. That photograph has resulted already in a number of tips from the public and from law enforcement agencies. The entire Riverside Police Department investigative capacity has been devoted to following up on those tips, and we're in the process of doing that now. And again, I can't emphasize enough how much our law enforcement partners have thrown in with us and are contributing to running down each and every one of those tips. Today, we're ready to expand on the release of that photograph. We are making available to electronic media and to anyone who asks, really, a short video clip that shows the suspect returning to the tractor rig, getting in. We think that people who know this person have recognized him from the photo already. We think that this almost $400,000 in reward money that's been offered will loosen some tongues. It's a lot of money to to forego for protecting a criminal like this. We think that the video clip that shows this person getting back into the truck may provide additional information. It shows how this person carries himself, his body motions, and so forth, so that may be helpful in identifying this person. At this time, I'm going to ask Detective Ron Sanfilippo to join me at the podium, and he will answer any questions that members of the press have regarding this, the investigation of this crime. Are there any questions that I can take right now about anything we've talked so far? Yes, Dave.
Chief, just a quick question, and I don't intend to make this as a second guess. Would it have been wiser to release the video last night, being the number of people who've seen it, or was there a distinct reason why you did not?
We wanted to get the photograph out as soon as possible. Once we made the decision that, as of yesterday, as of last night, the physical evidence that we'd recovered so far wasn't yielding results, and frankly, to pull together a press conference of this magnitude wasn't doable last night. But we did want to get the photograph out.
So there's no second guessing on the video?
No. The intent always was to show some part of the video, but it was quicker to get that photo out last night. Any other questions? Any questions of Detective Sanfilippo regarding this crime?
Question in that light, then, there was a struggle. Are you really? Can you release whose gun? Did the suspect have a gun, or you want to even go that way?
We don't know whether the suspect had a gun or not. We don't know. There's questions come up from the media before. We don't know what gun was used to kill Officer Bonaminio.
The officer's gun was on him still?
The officer's gun has not been recovered. We do not have the officer's gun.
Chief, is there any indication you got prints or any information out of the truck? Did that help you at all?
We're still processing evidence out of from the truck, but as yet, that evidence hasn't resulted in the identification of a suspect.
Chief,
That's
any fingerprints at all? Were you able to hit a home run with the fingerprints and maybe a Cal ID or anything like that?
We've not hit a home run with the fingerprints yet. The truck and another vehicle were extensively processed, and so far we don't have a definitive identification on this person. This is why we're going to the public with a photograph, imperfect as it is, but with that photograph taken from the in-car camera.
Do you have reason to believe he's still in this area?
We don't know where the suspect might be.
Chief, was the officer able to fire his weapon? Do you know that?
We don't know that.
Chief, was there another vehicle or an accomplice waiting for the shooter back at the truck yard?
We don't know that. We don't have any evidence that would indicate that. We're left to speculate as to why the suspect decided to go back to the place where he'd stolen the truck and return it there. But we don't know of another person.
Chief,
You don't know how he
were
left
there any
there.
witnesses to the shooting at all? I know Fairmount Park, there's a lot of homeless people that congregate there sometimes and have been able to locate anyone who was in the vicinity when it happened and saw it.
I'm going to ask Detective Sanfilippo to answer the question about witnesses.
Good afternoon. With reference to witnesses, we have spoken to a few people that were in the park, and they have helped us with the investigation.
Helped you in what way?
Helped us to further our investigation and lead us in a direction that we are currently going. I can't release a lot of information because it's still under investigation. A lot of stuff we're still working as of this moment, but it did help us speaking to a few people at the park, yes.
Are you releasing all the video of the suspect, or are you saving some? Is everything we're seeing what you have?
No.
Detective, is it possible that in the struggle, the officer's gun was taken and that he was shot with his own gun?
That is very possible.
Are you going with that theory? Do you believe that happened?
We're looking into that, but we don't know that for sure.
Detective, was this a situation where the suspect got enough of a head start on the officer that by the time the officer caught up to him, it was a lying in wait situation?
That is very possible, yes.
Do you know or do you not? I mean, did the witnesses kind of see the whole incident, or did they just see?
The witnesses saw a majority of the incident, yes. But like I said, I can't expand on too much at this point what exactly the witness saw.
Were they homeless? Were they people just at the park? Can you describe who they were, just in general?
They work at the church, which is at the park. But they're currently staying at a hotel, I believe.
As you look at the video, as a veteran investigator,
What do you see? What are some of the things you observe in the video?
The video is basically the suspect exiting and entering his vehicle, and an officer running in between the vehicles. Is all we observe is basically their movements. The reason we're releasing this portion of the vehicle is because the suspect's movements, his walking, is very distinctive, and that may help us in identifying the suspect.
Detective, the fact that you haven't been able to connect any kind of fingerprints or whatever, does that necessarily mean that he's not in the system and therefore is not an ex-con?
No, we're still looking into the fingerprints. That's not been eliminated. It's just that we have not at this point identified anybody from the fingerprints. That is still under investigation.
You're convinced he worked alone, that there was no one else that helped him get away when he went back to the lot?
I'm not convinced that when they got back there, there's not an accomplice after the fact. It appears all the evidence we have now, though, at the time of the incident, he was alone.
Do you have to know what you're doing to drive a rig like that? I mean, is this something you think he's a truck driver, or is it any Joe off the street drive a rig like that?
I would believe that there had to be some kind of experience to go along with driving a rig like that, yes.
This might be a better question for the chief, but can you talk about what this officer was doing, patrolling alone, doing his truck alone, and then a foot chase by himself? Is that standard procedure?
Most Riverside police officers work in one-officer cars. We have, as a matter of routine, our officers are pursuing people all the time. The basic doctrine that governs this is the following. If we think that an individual is armed, then we follow in order to contain that person, to get other backup there, to get somebody else there to help us contain them and then place them into custody. I don't believe, we won't know necessarily what was in Officer Bonaminio's mind, but there is no information that he had at the time that would indicate that this person was armed.
Chief, he couldn't use his radio. How was this discovered? Did a witness call? Was there someone passerby, or how did they find out?
The officer reported when he got out of the car chasing the suspect, he reported where he was and what he was doing. We had backup officers arriving. We calculate by comparing the in-car video records of a number of the police cars, we calculate that his backup probably missed the suspect by about a minute to a minute and a half.
So was procedure followed exactly as it should have been, or was something missing along the way?
I don't know if procedure is ever followed exactly as it should be, and the fact of the matter is that in police work, in police tactics, there is no following procedure exactly as it should be. No two incidents go down exactly the same way. I can assure you that there will be plenty of time going forward to analyze every decision made by every one of the officers that responded to that call, and we'll be gleaning what we can in terms of tactical lessons. But I certainly don't blame Officer Bonaminio for any decision he made on that fateful night, and there's nothing that jumps out at me as a mistake made. The fact of the matter is we didn't know who we were dealing with. We seldom know who we're dealing with. Officers put themselves in the face of danger and in the way of danger all the time. I can guarantee you that somewhere there's a police officer taking some risks right now at this moment that most people would say, well, that was silly, but that's police work. That's what we do.
Chief, was there any surveillance caught from the site where the truck was stolen, the hotel?
There's some very, very sketchy surveillance that kind of tells us that the truck was there, then it wasn't, and then it returned, but not useful in terms of identifying a suspect.
Chief, I can't imagine how painful this is for the family. Before we ask you any more questions, should we ask if there's anything that the family wants to share?
Well, actually, I'll ask Mr. Bonaminio to come up. I think he has something he wants to say, and if he's up to it, he'll take some questions. Joe.
Thank you, Chief Diaz. First of all, I'd like to thank the entire family at the Riverside Police Department for all their efforts in trying to apprehend this criminal. I'm so overwhelmed with the amount of attention they have paid to our family. my wife, my daughter, and John Enriquez, my daughter's boyfriend. But I'd also like to thank Don Luganbill for being a friend and support the night my son was shot. I'd like to also thank Nick Tavallone for being a lot of support. But most of all, I would like this criminal to just come forward. Just bring yourself in. I'm not a vicious person. In my mind, there's two forms of punishment for you. One is the most inhumane way that you could treat a person and mistreat him. And the other way is the way my son would do it. My son would bring you in and he would have you incarcerated and let justice do its job. I mean no offense to the people of the media, but when you come to my door, please don't ask me any questions. We're having a tough enough time dealing with this. And we just, we just ask you to respect our wishes in that manner. I have a question for you folks. I had a son that spent 2 tours in Iraq, and he's been home 1 year, and he gave his life on our soil, and I want to know why, and I want to know where the logic in that is. I don't understand. My wife doesn't understand. And we just said goodbye to our son. And that's all I have to say. But I do want to thank the Riverside Police Department for everything they've done. They've been just tremendous.
Could you tell us about your son, please, what he meant to you and the great things about him?
The great thing about him is he was a great human being. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. This was his life. That's all he ever wanted to do. That's all he ever wanted to be, was a police officer. I can't describe his feelings for it. That's why he went into the military as an MP. He served this country. He took an oath to defend the Constitution of this country, and he did it with the utmost of honor. And he came home to this.
Sir, our deep condolences on behalf of everyone here.
Thank you.
No one knows what you're feeling. They can say we do, but we don't.
Thank you.
Did you fear your son being a police officer? Did you try to talk him out?
No, I would never try and talk him out of that. When he became a soldier, I questioned that. But having been a soldier and having a soldier for a son, and then having him as a police officer, in the back of your mind, as far as I know, in the back of my mind anyway, he would, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
It's so easy and so trite to ask the anger, you talk about the unfairness. Are you a man of faith? Is that what's keeping you through right now, sir?
We're kind of faithful, yeah. We're kind of people of faith, but it's not the most dedicated of faith. But my wife is the strongest part of our foundation. If it wasn't for her, I don't know that we would all have our good faculties and our good senses here. But what I meant to finish up saying about my son is that in the back of your mind, you know that something like this is inevitable. And I think that every parent that has a son, every wife that has a husband, and every husband that has a wife that serves in law enforcement, I think they all live with that.
And sir, the anger factor,
I have some anger. I told my wife the other morning at breakfast, I said, for whatever reason, I don't feel any rage. I just want this person to come forward and, have his just due and serve his punishment.
If it's not too painful, sir, can you talk about the last time you talked to your son? The conversation, if you don't mind sharing it?
Yeah, we just, we changed a light at his house, and we just chatted for a little bit about doing some remodeling in the home he just bought, and, just getting it squared away so that, he's comfortable with that.
The dreams and his ambitions?
He wanted to retire as probably the chief of police of this city at one time. He wanted to serve his 30 years, or even longer or shorter, whatever.
Sir?
What about his personality? What do you?
He had his mother's level of calmness, and I like to think he had my sense of humor. I'm probably the biggest jokester there is at work. I have more fun with people there than most people realize. I'm fortunate to work for a very good individual. He allows me to do that. I still have a job, I hope, but but I just wish this person would just come forward, and those people out there, if you know this individual, just please have him come forward, or let somebody know where he's at, and just let's put an end to this. You know, I'm just looking for justice. You know, that's all.
Mr. Bonaminio, we're on live right now on Channel 9, and I know you said it before, but would you mind talking again about your son goes to service country twice, the unfairness of it all that you're feeling?
Yes, it's unfair. You know, I'm sure the emotions would still be there had he lost his life in Iraq, but the emotions are higher here. This is the United States of America, for crying out loud. You know, we're a land of the free, and yet he loses his life, you know, doing what he loved to do. And it's like I said, if that guy would have kept running, my son would have chased him all the way to China. There would have been no end to the chase. Thank you.
Mr. Bonaminio,
Can you look, sir, at the picture of the suspect?
No, I cannot. I will not. We have not turned the TV on in our house. We have not had the paper read in our house. I want law enforcement to do what it can do. I'm afraid if I saw a picture of this individual, I don't know what I would do. I don't. But thank you for the question. Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that was very difficult for Joe to do, and we thank you. I know the Bonaminio family statements will help keep attention focused on this case, and we hope will help us reach somebody's heart, along with the substantial rewards, hopefully convince somebody to do the right thing and turn in the suspect if he won't turn himself in. I have every confidence that this case will be solved. I know we have an outstanding capacity within the Riverside Police Department to investigate these things, and we have the help of our friends in law enforcement to help us achieve this capture. We will capture this person. We'd like to do it sooner rather than later. We think the suspect presents a continuing threat to the public. We know he's armed. We know that he's killed. We know that he knows he's wanted. We won't be able to rest easy until he's safely in custody, and we know that he doesn't present a threat to another law enforcement officer or to a member of the public. Appreciate your help in getting the word out. We will all be available if anyone wants to do a one-on-one interview with any of the members of law enforcement, and I think the Bonaminio family, as long as they can stand it. Thank you all very much. Good afternoon.